So I'm watching Bancroft's interview with Graham Nolan last week, and I had this strange feeling within me. Pride. See, I was watching a panel of three people, all of whom are leading voices within Comicsgate, but three people who also backed and received a copy of my book, Eudaimonia. The following evening, Bancroft was hosting a panel on Pops' CromCon, and when I popped in to say hello, he mentioned that I was the creator of Eudaimonia, and the panel collectively let out this audible, "Ah." Sometimes I forget just how many people bought that book and all of the kind, supportive words of praise I received for it. But soon after I had another thought, one which prompted this video. Because there are probably a lot of things about the book that readers may be interested to know, but don't. Either because there's things you would only know if you were inside my brain, things that were well hidden in the books, or things they simply might not have picked up on. So this video is to rectify that for any curious minds. This is the reader's companion for Eudaimonia Parts 1 and 2. It's going to be pretty spoiler heavy, so if you want to avoid that, just pause the video, find me on Twitter at Eudaimonia Comics, DM me with your email address, and wait for me to send you a free digital copy of the book, read it, and then come back and watch the video. Alternatively, you can grab one of the last few physical bundles of my new book, Harlem, Funding on Indiegogo, link in the description. Or if you don't give a rip about spoilers, but want to know what the hell I'm talking about, Eudaimonia 1 and 2 is a series of tales revolving around the lives of characters affected by World War I. There are three main characters whose tales interweave into one another to create a single cohesive narrative. Well, there's actually a fourth character, but his story is disjointed from the others, for reasons I'll get into later. Speaking of the characters, we have fact number 1. None of them have names, and that was intentional. Eudaimonia is a philosophical exploration of how people react to what happens to them, and thus who they are is ancillary to the meaning. So when Descartes says, "I think, therefore I am," the use of I is as true for him as anyone. Names are fundamentally unimportant to the story, so the characters are only referred to in accordance with their experiences. The old man once a boy, the boy now an old man, the girl with the cello, and the son not so prodigal, are just vessels through which the narrative flows. As you open the book, you are greeted with this massive, menacing face looming over the scene. He tells the workman of the stranger and sets the wheels of the first chapter in motion. Later, we see him again as a salesman in the general store. In book number 2, we see him again as a salesman in a different store halfway across the globe and 20 years in the past. Finally, we see him as a literal giant walking straight out of the ocean towards one of the characters. So, who is he? His appearance never changes, even across time and space. He's just always there, always looming, manipulating the events of the story into being. Some have compared the character to the devil, or perhaps God. But to find the truth, you have to go back to where you first saw him. On the first page, his first appearance is a quote from Cormac McCarthy's novel Blood Meridian. The book features a character simply referred to as the Judge. Like the mysterious traveler, the Judge drives the events of the narratives, and many have speculated whether or not he is the devil, though the book never definitively answers this question, or many questions. Now, Eudaimonia never really answers this question, but I will with fact number 2. The mysterious traveler is the Judge from McCarthy's Blood Meridian. Fact number 3. The saloon is named Candy after my mother-in-law, who was also my very first backer. Fact number 4. Book 1 is a tale of ironic masculinity. When the traveler mentions the man over yonder, one of the workmen chastises him for gossiping and suggests he try a hair salon where women do things like that. Then as soon as the traveler leaves, all of the men engage in continually escalating gossip until they form a violent mob and storm his property. Fact number 5. This guy is Ethan Van Sciver. Fact number 6. On page 17, the Harlem Hellfighter, a character whose story was unlocked as a stretch goal for the campaign, can be seen in the background. Fact number 7. The woman with the cello has dark hair in the first book and lighter hair in the second. This is due to perspective, as the boy has just gone through hell to arrive at this moment. When we see it from her perspective, it is a time of celebration. Fact number 8. On page 20, we learn where the story takes place, in Nebraska. I said it there because it's rural, it fit the setting, and I vaguely remember your boy Zach mentioning he was from there, but I'm not certain if that's even true. Fact number 9. On page 22, the book that the old man is reading, they're just ones that I had been enjoying at the time. These include Beowulf, All Quiet on the Western Front, Plato's Republic, Winesburg, Ohio. Astrophil and Stella by Sir Philip Sidney is also there, but I never enjoyed it. It's a series of poems that form a singular narrative, which inspired Eudaimonia in form, but the book itself is a joyless pain to actually read. Fact number 10. On page 23, this is my favorite panel in the entire series. The Harlem Hellfighter is the previously mentioned fourth character whose story doesn't weave into the others. This is because, well, he's black and it's the 1920s. The disconnectedness was intentional, as this was a time of extreme prejudice, and pretending the world was any different would be both dishonest and disingenuous. Fact number 12. While promoting this book, I went on Antonio Bryce's stream. When I mentioned the Harlem Hellfighter, he told me that he and Kanan White did a graphic novel called The Harlem Hellfighters, about the actual Harlem Hellfighters, the Black World War I soldiers that my story is based on. I had no idea about any of this, it was just a giant coincidence, but it's a great book, and I later hired Kanan White to do the cover artwork for Noirlum, my current book. Fact number 13. On page 31, we can see the events of page 14 starting to take place in the background just before the lieutenant is killed. Fact number 14. This dead soldier is Tinfoil Hat Nick, the first person on Twitter to notice me, provide guidance, and help get my dreams off the ground and onto the page. He asked to be killed in the book. Fact number 15. The writing of the Harlem Hellfighter consists of two poems, both that I'd previously written and both that had already been published, The Harlem Hellfighter and Snowfall in the Street Lamps. The first one's a pretty self-explanatory story, but the second one is simply a poem about how I personally think there is nothing more beautiful in the world than watching snow fall through the glow of streetlights at night. I simply turned that idea of beauty into one that may inspire the character. Fact number 16. The Harlem Hellfighter ends with the character leaving his flask behind to walk out into the street, dejected but pondering life as he watches the snowfall. It's ambiguous what happens to him after that, but there is an ending out there if you know where to look. Interlude, the music of Eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is a very musical book, not just because it's literally about a song getting stuck in someone's head, but also because there are many points which are nods to song lyrics, mostly from punk and metal bands. On page 10, we have the line, "had been given flight on a demon's wing," which is a reference to the song Given Flight by Demon's Wings by the hardcore band Shai-Hulud. On page 18, we have, "she carried the weight of the world on her bow," a nod to the song Weight of the World by Misery Signals. In Harlem Hellfighter, there are two lines that refer to rhythm and blues, the first time referring to the rhythm of fighting and the blues of drinking, and later losing his rhythm for life and the blues of failure. I said before that you could find the secret ending for the Harlem Hellfighter if you knew where to look. It turns out it's just a few minutes away, and it's found in a song. Defeater is a hardcore punk band that was highly influential on me as a writer. Their entire discography consists of telling and retelling stories, with each album signifying the voice of a different character in a larger story. In 2009, they released Lost Ground, an EP about a Black World War II soldier who returns home expecting to be accepted as a hero, only to find that America is still America and he's still just a black man. Sound familiar? In the song Red, White, and Blues, the main character is drinking in a bar the night before he's set to ship out. The lyrics here refer to several things found in the Harlem Hellfighter, such as him being a soldier like his father who fought in World War I. He carries his father's flask that his mother gave him, and in the bar he says he'll drink till I see the sun or I can't see, 'cause I got the blues and the blues got me. Fact number 17. The Harlem Hellfighter is an unauthorized prequel, and from these two stories we can piece together that the character left his flask behind, went out to watch the snow, and never returned. What happened to him is still unclear, but what is clear is that his wife, then pregnant with the character in the Defeater song, would one day tell him his father died in the war. Now we move on to learn about the mysterious woman who plays the cello and her mysterious song, as we start with fact number 18. The line, "this wouldn't suffice once she'd reached the age when mothers can't keep their hands to themselves," implies the beginnings of some sort of sexual abuse from the girl's mother, which is why she runs away. In the original writing, it was her father, but while in college, I seriously had multiple people tell me that this was too dark. To this day, I wonder what is wrong with someone who finds it more palatable for a mother to be abusive than a father. Fact number 19. The town that the girl runs away to is called Celestat, which is based off Celestat, a town that actually is near the German border. I changed the S to a C to name it after Celeste, my wife, and someone without whom my life would be a mess. Fact number 20. The priest takes interest in the girl when he sees she's reading Grimm's fairy tales, and that's actually what the first edition of that book looks like. The book that the priest gives her is the writings of St. Thomas Aquinas, another great foundational book of philosophy. Fact number 22. On page 22, we learn that she isn't just extremely shy or quiet, she's actually mute. Fact number 23. On this same page, we learn that the origin of the song that would eventually affect the character from Book 1 is the song that the priest sung to Mary the librarian when they were young and in love. The point of this revelation is to answer the origin of the song itself by pushing its origin backwards in time. It isn't just in the past, it is the past. The untenable specter constantly over our shoulder that rocks us to our very core in those rare instances where it confronts us, such as in a very old song. Fact number 24. On page 25, we meet the boy who plays the cello. He's a German boy who just arrived in town. They begin playing together and young romance forms, but when the war breaks out, he must return home. Unable to lug his heavy cello home, they sadly trade instruments and say goodbye. Fact number 25. On page 38, we learn that the German boy is the same German boy we saw the young version of the main character stabbed to death in the trench in the first book. We also see their encounter again, only this time instead of being stabbed in the throat, he shoots the American and kills him. Wait, what? We then see the lives of both him and the girl with the cello play out. They run away together, they get married, have children, but something just seems off. Everything is moving along very quickly, too quickly. Then we see a giant looking through their window. Wait, what? They all run from the giant, but it's hopeless. It's moving too fast, and the boy, now a man, jumps into a pit of sand to hide, where time catches up to him. He's back in the trench. In fact, he never really left. He's been stabbed in the throat just as he was in the first book. He is dying, and what you and the reader are seeing was just the inner workings of a mind shutting down, providing comfort to the spirit as the lights begin to fade. This is also alluded to back in the first book, as this moment is described as a process that felt like days. There's not really much to say here. All of the events that led to this moment had already played out in the narrative. We're just seeing them again now that the reader has been given a lot more context. So I'll close on this note. Eudaimonia number 1 is a book in which I, as a writer, am dealing with the idea of individualism, that we provide meaning to ourselves through our actions, successes, failures, and the like. Eudaimonia number 2 is a book in which I, as a writer, am considering the opposite of that idea, that it is through the relationships with others that we find meaning. There's not really an answer to be found in either. That's just something that, if you made it this far, you might be interested to know. Either way, if you enjoyed these books, then I thank you for your support in helping me create them. And if you haven't enjoyed them yet, the offer still stands to experience them for yourself absolutely free. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you when I see you.